Arnold at the 1975 Mr. Olympia versus Samir Bannout at the 1983 Mr. Olympia. Arnold that year arguably had among his best versions ever. Maybe not as huge as he was in 1973 and 74, but was more defined and conditioned. He announced his retirement from professional bodybuilding that year to focus on his acting career. He, however, came back in 1980 to win the title for the 7th time in what has been considered as one of the most controversial Olympia contests ever. Samir Bannout, who was placed 4th in 1982, came at his best ever in 1983 to win the title only for once, a distinction shared with Chris Dickerson in 1982, Dexter Jackson in 2008, and so far Sean Rodden in 2018. Known as the Lion of Lebanon, Samir was known for his incredibly powerful back area. The extreme muscular definition he achieved in his lower back helped to shape the Lebanon cedar, or the Christmas tree. Unfortunately though, Samir is overlooked when referring to bodybuilders who have or had the best back in history, such as Ronnie, Dorian, Lee Haney, and Phil Heath, for no obvious reason. Comparing these two bodybuilders is like talking about two masterpieces of aesthetic symmetry and superior proportions. It was the golden era in which bodybuilders focused on aesthetics more than size, the era which witnessed the rise of Frank Zane, Samir Bannout, Muhammad Makawi, and Bob Paris. Arnold had the taller and the wider physique, which definitely added to his intimidation on stage. The front double biceps shows that Arnold had the superior biceps, and this is no surprise, as he arguably had among the best biceps in the sport's history. Samir, on the other hand, was not known for having powerful biceps, but had among the greatest triceps in his era. This famous picture shows the phenomenal triceps Samir had in his prime. The horseshoe, ripped and striated triceps was definitely among his most impressive areas. Although shorter, Samir was incredibly muscular, and his physique was the embodiment of mass and class. He was defined, ripped, and highly conditioned. He definitely did not have Arnold's peaky biceps or massive chest, but had better back, abs, and thighs. Although scarce, the front lat spread shows the great conditioning they both had. We can see visible striations in their chest and shoulders. Samir's quads look more huge and better separated, and this is no surprise, as bodybuilders in the 80s started to focus more on training their lower section for more mass and definition, with the rise of Tom Platz, who arguably had among the best thighs of all time, if not the best ever. The side chest shows that both had great chest in their prime. You can notice the size and the conditioning in this area. Arnold had among the best chest muscles of all time, if not the best ever. But Samir also had very powerful chest, which enabled him to stand his own against 8-time Mr. Olympia winner Lee Haney, who also had powerful chest, as we see in this picture. Samir's biceps do not show the peak Arnold does in this pose. They were long and ripped, but lacked that amazing peak Arnold had. You can notice the development in the lower section, which marked the 80s era, with bodybuilders working more on their thighs, mass, and definition. Another side chest pose which shows how powerful Samir's chest was, even against Arnold. Notice how thick, ripped, and striated their chest areas were in their prime. Both maintained tight and ripped midsection, as back then nobody knew what the bloated stomach was. The back double biceps shows that Samir was on another level. Yes, Arnold's physique was ahead of his time in the 70s. He had amazing biceps, chest and back. But when comparing him to the 80s top bodybuilders such as Samir, who was known for having a phenomenal back, Samir would definitely dominate in certain poses, and the back double biceps is one of them. Arnold has the more massive and peaky biceps and the more massive shoulders. His traps and lats are incredibly conditioned and striated, and he shows the Christmas tree in his lower back. But Samir's back was bigger, denser, thicker, and packed more muscles. His traps were massive and ripped, and his lats were packed with defined and ripped muscles. His lower back was striated and shows the cedar tree. His hamstrings were also on another level, and his calves in the shot look more massive and better ripped. I used to love this Samir's most muscular pose with the hands on the thighs. He definitely did not have the best shoulders or arms out there, but everything was in its proper place and built perfectly. The rounded and ripped chest, the ripped abs and small waist, and the separated quads. Arnold, on the other hand, was known for hitting a very impressive most muscular pose, showing how phenomenal his shoulders, chest, and arms were. He definitely was ahead of his time and would absolutely outclass Samir in this pose. Arnold has always been considered as one of the greatest bodybuilders ever for a reason. His physique was superior, and he had among the best biceps and chest areas of all time. Samir's physique, however, marked the beginning of a new era, where bodybuilders kept focusing on their aesthetics and proportions, but started to work harder on their thighs to add more mass and definition. Samir's back was among the best of all time, and it's shameful to overlook him when listing the bodybuilders with the best back. This was my tribute to Arnold and Samir. Wish you both all the best, and thank you for your contribution and for being great inspiration for millions worldwide. Hope you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Thanks for watching, and have a nice one.